All right, this is a quick video for Trans Math class assignment number 7. And this is covering sections 9.6 and 9.7 in your book, leasing and renting vehicles. The first part covering a lease. A lease is an agreement for the use of some property. In this case, it's going to be a vehicle of some kind of car or van, whatever. So you're signing an agreement with some dealership or some bank to lease a car from them. Usually it's an annual basis. It doesn't mean it doesn't have to be a year. It's usually like 2 to 5 years that when you sign a lease, you take the lease out for 2 to 5 years. With the lease, a lot of times I know I have relatives and this is all they do is lease cars. They don't ever buy cars and they swear by it. And it's a good thing for some people, but because it gives, you get a new car every 3 years or however long you take the lease out for. And then you take the car back and give it back to the company and you can start another lease a lot of times. The one bad thing about it, I know I had a friend and his wife leased a nice Mustang here a few years ago, and at the end of the lease they went to take it back and it was gonna cost them more to turn the car back in to the company because of the damage that she had done to the car and the mileage that she put on the car than the car was actually worth. So it was going to be cheaper for them to just go ahead and pay the company to buy the car outright instead of turning it back in because of the damage and stuff that she had done to the car. There's 2 different kinds of leases. One's a closed-end lease and one's an open-end lease. A closed-end lease is a contract that allows you to use the vehicle for a set time period by making a specified number of payments. And then when that time is done, then you're going to return the car to the dealership or whoever it is that you signed the lease with. Again, when you take the car back, there's going to be other things that are going to get added in here. And you got to make sure that when you sign a lease that you know all the terms of that lease, know all the stipulations that are in that lease, because they're going to charge you for any damage to the vehicle, any unnatural or what they don't consider to just be normal wear and tear to the vehicle. So you're going to get charged for that, and you need to make sure that you know exactly what they're going to consider normal wear and tear and what's not going to be considered normal wear and tear on the vehicle. And there's probably going to be a charge for if you put extra miles on the car. They may charge you like 30 cents per mile, per extra mile that you put on the car. So know how many miles they're going to allow you to put on this car over the entire period of the lease. An open-ended lease, same idea, except at the end of the lease, you can purchase the vehicle for its residual value, and this residual value will normally be decided at the time that you sign the lease. So when you sign the lease, in that contract, there'll be something saying, all right, at the end of this lease, this car we think is going to be worth about $5,000, and they would allow you to then purchase that car for the $5,000. And this is what I was talking about with my friend a few years ago. When they were going to turn the car back in, they were going to charge them, it was going to be, if the car was going to be worth $5,000 and they were going to pay it off and buy it there, they were going to charge them something like $5,500 for the damage and the extra mileage that they had put on the car. So it was just gonna be cheaper for them to go ahead and pay the $5,000 and buy the car. So two different kinds of leases, closed in, where you just take, after it's over, you take it back and turn the car in, and open in, where you got the option to buy the car at the end of the lease. It's a formula for lease, for a total cost of a lease, number of payments times the amount of each payment. So that's gonna give you the total amount that you make in payments. Plus, there's usually gonna be some kind of deposit. They're not gonna let you walk out the door with a $30,000 vehicle and just take for granted that you're gonna start making the payments on it. So they're gonna make you put down some kind of deposit, usually, $1,000, $1,500, $3,000, whatever it happens to be. So you need to take that in consideration when you're doing a lease. There, title fee and a license fee, and these are just fees so that they can register the title and everything in your name, so that the state of Ohio or whoever needs to know knows that this vehicle is in your care, or you're the one that's supposed to be responsible for the vehicle. And then other things that could go into your total lease cost is, again, at the end of the lease, you are going to get charged for any damage that's not considered normal, and you're going to get charged for any extra miles that you put on the car. So that's another thing that might have to get, these are other things that might have to get added in over here for your total lease cost. Total lease cost. Renting a car, if you rent a car, you're agreeing to pay a set fee for the use of the vehicle. It's just like renting anything else, renting an apartment, whatever. But for a car, it's usually on a daily or maybe a weekly basis. If you go out to Menards or Lowe's, they actually a lot of times will rent trucks to haul things, and you could rent that truck for one day, and they have their truck sitting out there and it says rent. Or you go to U-Haul and they have trucks that they'll rent you. Same idea. Renting a vehicle. I know when I was in high school going to prom, a lot of people rented a car to drive to prom instead of driving their old car maybe that they had. Like I had an old piece of junk truck that I didn't really want to make my date get into, so I rented a car to drive to prom in. Back then, the age was 18. I think a lot of places now the age is 21 that you have to be able to rent a car, so that might not fit with you guys now. That's something you'd have to check into. But I was allowed to rent a car at 18 when I was growing up. And same idea with renting a car. There's going to be a daily, if you just are renting it by the day, then there's going to be a daily charge or a daily fee. Plus, they're going to charge you for things like mileage. They may charge you for every mile you put on the car, they may charge you 20 cents or something. So it'd be something like 0.20 times the number of miles that you put on the car. And that's something that'll be in the contract when you sign the contract, so you have to make sure you check all that stuff. Plus, instead of just damages, there may be something like an insurance that you need to get on the car. That way, if you damage the car or you're in an accident with the car, then the car is covered. Some places don't make you get this insurance. Some rental places may make you pay for the insurance. Another thing, sometimes they call it a CDW, which is just which just stands for collision damage waiver. And it's just like insurance, so they may make you pay that, and they may not. I know when I rent a car, my insurance that I have through my normal insurance company covers me for rental cars. So that might be something you check to see if you have that coverage through your normal insurance. So if you rent a car, that car is covered under your normal insurance. Otherwise, usually this insurance isn't real expensive, and you might want to get it just to make sure that you are covered in case something happens to the car, even if it's not your fault, because they're going to come back and try to get you for the money that the car was worth. Cost per mile, if we're renting a car, the cost per mile is the total cost of the car, of renting the car, divided by the number of miles that you put on it. Again, in this total cost, you're going to have to add up all the stuff that goes into the total cost of the car. So that could include stuff like the cost for miles that you put on it, the cost for the insurance, whatever it happens to be. And then we're going to divide that by how many total miles you put on the car. All right, these are this is the assignment. It's on two separate pages, page 358, 1 through 11, page 362, 3 through 11. And we are going to do a few of these together. We'll do 4 and 10 on 358 and 3, 6, and 11 on this video on 362. So hopefully that'll help you with some of those. On number 4, you're just going to do exactly what it says there in the little box. It just, you're going to find 2 answers, the total amount of your payments, and then the total cost of the lease. Sorry, as I'm making this video, my board keeps jumping back and forth, and then my pen isn't working right. So I grab my calculator for part A on number 4. You're just going to take, and this works for 4 through 7 on this page, you're going to take the 24, so you got 24 monthly payments, so you must be renting it for 2 years. 24 times 219, so each monthly payment's $219, and you get $5,256. So that's how much money you're going to pay in payments over the 2 years of this lease. And then all you're going to do with that number is you're going to add on the deposit, the title fee, and the license fee, and that's going to give you the total cost of the car. And again, other things could be added in, but for this problem, they're not adding them in. So I take that 5256 plus 1419 plus 80 plus 65, it equals, and I get 6,820. So you make $5,256 in payments, and then your total lease cost is $6,820. Number 10 says Tanisha Clayton has an open-ended lease for an SUV that she uses for her fabric store. The lease costs $421.38 per month, so I'm going to write that down, $421.38 per month. And I'm just going to write a bunch of stuff down just like I would in class, just so I don't have to keep looking back at the book and you can use it. Then it says for 48 months, so she's renting it for, make sure I'm reading the right problem here, for 48 months. So 48 months, she's renting it for 4 years. She paid $2,500 deposit. $85 title fee and a $235 license fee. So $85 for the title fee, $235 for the license fee. At the end of the lease, she can buy the vehicle for $15,446. $15,446. So that's at the end. She could buy it for that after the 4 years. What is the total? What is the total to lease and to buy the vehicle? So they want to know the total to lease the vehicle and then the total to buy the vehicle if she decides to buy it. So part A is just to lease the vehicle. We're going to take the $421.38 times it by the 48, because that's how much she's going to make in payments, and then we're going to add on the other stuff. So plus the deposit, which was $2,500, plus the $85 title fee, plus the $235 license fee. If you take your calculator and you just punch all that in, just like I have it written right here, it would give you the answer. So we take 421.38 times 48 plus 2,500 plus 85 plus 235, it equals, and I end up with $23,046.24. So that's the amount of her lease. That's the total for the lease. Part B, they want to know how much the car will cost her in total if she decided to buy it at the end of the lease. Well, we just take this number and we add on what they're going to sell her the car for at the end of those 4 years. So we take the $23,046.24 plus 15,446, and we end up with $38,492.24. So that's how much total the car would cost her if she bought it at the end of the lease. I know I didn't say I was going to do this, but I'm going to do number 11 on this page also. Says Nikolai leases a vehicle for $399 a month for 48 months. So $399 for 48 months. He pays a deposit of $1,225. $1,225, that's the deposit. $85 title fee and $160 license fee, so $85 for the title and $160 $160 for the license. After 48 months, the sedan will be worth $4,117. $4,117. That's just what it's going to be worth. See if we need that here in a minute. Oh, I'm sorry, that's the wrong problem. I looked at the wrong problem again. The lease stipulates 20 cents per mile charge for miles more than 60,000. So they're going to charge him 20 cents for anything over 60,000 miles. If he drives the vehicle 68,515 miles, what is the total cost of the lease? So it's 68,515 miles is actually what he puts on it. Well, that's going to be, if we just subtract these two, that's going to be 8,515 more that they're going to charge him for. So they're going to take that 8,515 and they're going to times it by the 20 cents. We'll figure out that. Grab your calculator and multiply it. So 8,515 times 0.20, and we end up with $1,703. And when you drive more, you can see 8,000 miles doesn't look like it's a whole lot compared to 60,000 miles, but when you drive more, it ends up costing quite a bit. So you need to really watch the miles if you're leasing a vehicle. They want the total cost, so we're going to take the $399 times the 48 plus, I'm going to let you finish this. I'll just write out the equation and then you can finish it and give the answer. So you take $399 times 48 plus the $1,225 deposit plus $85 for the title plus $160 for the license fee plus the $1,703 for the extra mileage. You do all that math and that'll give you the answer, tell you what what the total cost was. Flipping over to the next page. Do a couple problems off of page 362. If you look at number 3, you're just going to do on number 3, 4, 5. It's basically the same thing on all these. You're just going to find part A and part B. They tell you exactly what to do in the boxes there. It says you're going to take the total daily cost plus the mileage cost plus the gasoline cost. That's going to give you the answer to A, and then you divide that by 500 and that's going to give you the cost per mile. So for part A on number 3, we just add up 21 plus 94 plus 73.89, and so our answer to part A is 188. $188.89. And then we're going to divide that to get part B. We're going to divide that answer by 500. So divided by 500. We want the cost per mile. And so we're going to give it in terms of money. And it's going to end up being about 0.38. So about 38 cents per mile Number 6, sort of the same idea. I keep pausing because I'm looking at these problems, trying to make sure that they're not, if you're doing a daily rental, then you'll know the daily cost and you'll have to multiply it by how many days. And I was wondering if they did that on that first one. Number 6, you're just gonna take the rental cost plus the gasoline cost, that's gonna give you the total cost, and then divide it by the 240, so it's basically the same thing. We're gonna take the 6650 plus the 4039. And so for part A, our total cost, we get $106.89. Then part B, we're just gonna take that number and we're gonna divide it by however many miles we drove, which was 240. And we end up with, and I'm gonna round this up again, we want money, so 0.45. So about 45 cents per mile. All right, on problem 11, says you rent an 8-passenger van for a week to transport 8 people to a convention in a city 1,240 miles away. The rate is $399 for the week with 1,500 free miles and then 25 cents for each additional mile. The CDW, the insurance in other words, is $165 for the week, and the estimated gasoline is $600. Determine the round trip cost for the total rental, the cost per mile, and the cost per person. So we want the total cost, so we're gonna add up $399 plus the insurance, the CDW, which is $165, plus the gas, which was $600. This is for part A. Plus, we got to add in the mileage. Well, to add in the mileage, we have to actually do a little math. The math we got to do, it tells us that the place you're going is 1,240 miles away. Well, you got to remember that you're going there and coming back, so we got to times that by 2. So that's 2,480. And they say they give us 1,500 free miles. So we're going to subtract off the 1,500 that's free, and we get 980. So we're going to have to pay for 980 miles of this trip, and the fee that they're going to charge us for the extra is 25 cents. So we take that 980 and we multiply by 0.25. If you grab your calculator and do that, 980 times 0.25 ends up being 245. So they're going to charge us an extra $245 for the extra mileage on the vehicle. Anything that's for the stuff over the 1,500. We add all those up, we end up with $1,409. That's your first answer. That's the total rental cost. Part B, they want to know the cost per mile. So all we're going to do is take that 1,409 and we're going to divide it by how many miles we're going to drive the car, which is this 2,480. So in other words, you get the car with the 2,480. This is being awful close because if you drive there and drive back and it's 1,240 miles there and 1,240 back, you're probably going to stop off somewhere and put some extra mileage on it that's going to be more than that 2,480. But we're just being, if all you do is drive directly there, park it, stay there for the week, and then drive directly back. So what I'm saying is there's probably going to be more miles on it than the 2,480, but that's what we're going to use. because that's what they gave us. So we're gonna divide this by 2480. You grab your calculator and you divide that, and it comes up to about 57 cents per mile. So that's the cost of driving that vehicle there and back, about 57 cents for every mile. And then part C says find the cost per person if there's 8 of you going on this trip. We take the 1409 and we divide it by 8. And that's going to tell us the cost per person. And when I do that on my calculator, I round it off a little bit and I get $176.13 per person. So it's going to cost about $176 for each person. So finish up the rest of them. Send me a picture when you get done.